Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. For those of you who like to follow along, I know I sometimes like to follow along, but more importantly, I like to be able to get the links out of a slide deck or go revisit and remember something that we talked about. I also go back in and add more links as we talk about them during the webinar, aka.ms/HOC 2024 Deck 2. This is my link slide. I will be updating it with more stuff that we talk about. I'm not going to go over all these links now. I will just say that they are things that we will maybe talk about. And if we don't talk about them, they're things that you can explore on your own. And this is me. Hi, I'm Kiki. My handle is @KikiVSIT on all social that I'm a part of. I recently just joined Blue Sky, which I've not done anything on yet, but if anybody else is transferring over from Twitter to Blue Sky, I'll probably be there soon. You can use KikiVSIT to find me on YouTube, Amazon, basically everywhere. If I look familiar to you, it is probably from Make Code. I've been here for a little over 4 years now and doing education-based materials. And if that's not it, then you may recognize me from code.org, where I was from 2013 to 2018. And then those are a couple of my books down there. If you want to see some more stuff I've written, you can check it out on Amazon. And this is my lovely co-host, Sarah. Sarah, would you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks, Kiki, for the intro. I'm Sarah. I'm a dev on the Mako team. I've been here for about 2 years after graduating from Cal Poly in California, where I am currently living. And I'm just here to kind of answer any questions. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them. And if you want to reach me for any Makecode questions, you can at me on the Makecode forum, which I think is probably a link in the link slide. At Sarah on the Makecode. That's it for me.
Thank you. Yes, I highly recommend the Make Code forum. Sarah hangs out there. Sarah also is part of our stream team on Twitch, usually Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1 o'clock Pacific. All right. If you're here, you probably already know what CSEd week is. I'll keep this super short. Some of you might know it as Hour of Code, but it's basically a week out of the year, every year, second week of December, when we try and get people to just try an hour of code in their classroom. Obviously, if you're a coding classroom, it's a great idea. But if you're not a coding classroom, that's really where we want to get people to venture out of their comfort zone to help show students why learning to code can be helpful in their life, even if they don't want to do anything that they think involves coding when they grow up. And then Make Code. Make Code is a free open source learn to code platform. We started out for physical devices, specifically the microbit, and then moved to, if you use Minecraft EDU, we're one of the coding options for that. And now we have Make Code Arcade, which is getting its own reputation in the coding world. And it is a free platform that students can use with really no extra preparation other than like if you have a clever page that you want to add it to. I just mentioned all of these different methods of using Make Code. You can get to each of them on makecode.com. And today we're going to focus on arcade.makecode.com. Although the Minecraft Hour of Code is also very good this year. They have their own materials. I'll be happy to link that into the slide too if you really like to use the Minecraft stuff with your classroom. We're going to focus on the arcade version today. I saw in the chat somebody, it looks like they work with 2nd through 6th grade. If you have any other grade ranges, I see K through 4. I'll hopefully cover enough options for definitely pre-K through about 9th grade with some additional diversification. We can make it go all the way through high school. All right. This is a link to our Hour of Code page, aka.ms/HOC-all. And that's going to list all of our Hour of Code activities for this year and previous years. The previous ones are still great. They're still effective. They're still up to date. So there's any reason to use any of those if you would like to, but we've done other trainings on them. I'm not going to go into them very deeply. I'm going to focus on these three up here: Lyla and Stu's Snack Chase, Inside Out 2, and then we'll touch on Mission to Hubble just a little bit. I'm going to hop into this Hour of Code page right now. This is our Hour of Code page. Here are the three that we're looking at today. And I know that Make Code historically has been focused on older students, but we're starting to bring some things younger and younger. And we've kind of started introducing what we call junior activities. And those are activities that have a lot less text in them. We have a whole page of junior activities, junior tutorials. But this one, the Lyla and Stu's Snack Chase, we worked with the creators of Lyla in the Loop and PBS Kids and made something that is a lot of fun. There were so many giggles in the classroom. And if you've never heard a preschooler say pickle chip, then you're not living. Let's go ahead and take a look at this one first. As I mentioned, this is called Lyla and Stu's Snack Chase. Lyla is the star of Lyla in the Loop. She is a spirited 7-year-old girl who has this pal who is a fuzzy mammal, but in the show, he kind of represents AI in a way. He's a being that understands Lyla very literally. And Lyla needs to be very careful with the instructions that she gives to Stu, or else chaos can ensue. And it's a good thing it does, or else there wouldn't be any episodes. But it's very cute. It's fun. It's got some, PBS Kids learnings in there. It's a really great show for little ones. It's kind of fun for parents to watch too. Some great lessons. And then there's also that kind of backbone of coding, computational thinking, and then even the AI in there, which is fun to see. This activity starts with a little video, just a quick little intro of how to use this tutorial and then how to play your game once it's finished. I have been running this all day with classrooms from pre-K to first grade. And the pre-K is having a lot of fun when we do things as a class. So I was presenting it to them. We would look at the smart board. I'd make sure everybody knew what the blocks were, what the blocks did, invite the kids to come up and move a block over, and then everyone would cheer and we would play the game and just see that every block of code you add makes for a change in the game. And we did it together so that there wasn't a lot of confusion, and we saved some time because, getting everybody's iPads out and trying to get everybody on the same page can sometimes be a challenge. But with the little ones, if you want to all do it together and then you can all play it together, as the kids would come up and contribute, we would give them a shot to play the game that they had then created. And all the other kids would stand up like shake break style. They would stand up and they would like jump and point at where the pickles were coming from. They would encourage the kid to be like up, 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 or they'd crouch down, 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 or right, right, left, left, and, practice directions. It was very, very cute. I highly recommend. For the kindergartners and first graders, we played this video and then kind of showed them what it means to drag a block over, and then got started on the activity. And they actually built the activities themselves. In our case, it was on iPads, but you really can use just whatever you have in your classroom. If you play this video for your students, I highly recommend playing it with everybody together so that they can ask questions if they have any. And then when the video's over, I'm not going to show it right now, but it does kind of just go through 1 minute long, quick how-to video. But it talks about, I'll go ahead and clear this so I can show you what it's talking about. It talks about these blocks, and it talks about adding the pickle chip. Then when the video's over, I can say, what did they call this snack? And then they'll say pickle chip. And we talked about setting the scene and adding a background. Preschoolers did not know what a background was. First graders did. So we got to do a quick little, okay, what's my background right now? What's my background right now? Kind of thing. And it helps them all get on the same page so that they understood what they were about to do. You can see that the instructions are really minimal. It looks like there's a lot in this first step, but it's because we've added a couple different images. We have this first one that tells you the actual block you need to grab so that they understand the translation between this animated GIF down here and the block that looks like this in the toolbox, and then drag it over. Honestly, though, once we watched the video, once we did a couple sample blocks together, they didn't really read the instructions for the rest of it, which I don't know, honestly, if any of the kids really read the instructions anyway. I think mostly it comes to pattern matching. But yeah, the instructions didn't become a big issue. It was mostly making sure the blocks were clicked in and that kind of thing. So I'll walk you through that real quick. We were working together, drag one block over together as they could hear it click in so that they could see what it was like on the game screen here. And this was another thing that was very helpful for any of you teachers doing, especially pre-K through 3, is make a big deal out of, okay, we're going to press this button to make it big, and we're going to press this button to make it small, and then big, small, big, small, because they'll get into that big state and not know how to get back to the code. And especially if they're working on a iPad or a Chromebook where the screen is small, it's really hard for them to try and see what's going on each time they code if they leave it little. When they add a block, encourage them to make it big, look at their game, got to press A to clear the message, and then you can see the result of the block that you added. Right away, one single block, it's already a game. It's already something fun that they can play. We kind of have the base code back there already to get the character moving and add points once the pickle chips are caught. But they will be able to see the result of adding the pickle chip, which is wonderful and fun. And the kids had a really, really great time with that. Then they'll make it small again so that they can get to the next step, which they can get to either by clicking the next button or by clicking this arrow up here. I was finding that it was kind of difficult in the small screen for them to get down to the next button. This button is always up here in the same spot. Really easy to click. And the next thing is to add that scene. We have them add the scene in, and then we have them look. This one's easiest because it shows up instantly. We have them look at and make sure that the scene came in. And then the final piece of this is just adding a timer. Those 3 things make a game. We talked a little bit about if you can grab pickle chips forever and there's nothing stopping you and there's no way to win and there's no way to lose. Is it fun? Not really. It gets boring. What do you need to do to make it fun? And you need to add some challenge. You need to add something that has some stakes. Yeah. And then you add the timer. And that is essentially your entire game. And with the kindergarten and pre-K, we would build this part all together. And then with the kindergarten or with pre-K, we would be done. We would play from there, and that was it. With the kindergarten, there'd still be some time left over. And so I would introduce the music and the art. Then the students would be able to go back to their own machines. Then they would be able to build the game on their own. And then they would be able to include some music and some art. We have this block here, which is the play song block. Oddly, for some reason that I have no idea, everything else can go in whatever order it wants. But for some reason, the play song block has to come at the end. And then I changed this to looping in the background so that they can hear their song. If they only play it once until done, then they miss it every time because the songs are usually pretty short. And the way that we build the songs here is we click on this gray rectangle and it will open the music staff. And the students have generally seen the music staff in other classes. They feel pretty comfortable playing with it, especially because you can't really do anything wrong here. I always click this button so that I have more space. And then they come up here and we say, who has played a piano? And people will raise their hand. Who's played the violin? People will raise their hand. Guitar, whatever you want to say. Then you say, who's played the cheeseburger? And people start to giggle. And then you say, well, we're going to play the cheeseburger today. Then you let them pull out the cheeseburger and place the cheeseburger wherever they want to. And then they end up making their own little music. Awesome. And then they get to press play. All right. And that's where I hope that sharing my sound came through. And then I'll click done. And this is particularly great if you end up with extra time. If things go quicker than you imagine, everybody's behaving, they get their iPads or Chromebooks or Surface tablets nice and fast and everything's going well, let them just start playing with the music, playing with the art, and that will definitely fill up the rest of the time. And then the other thing is to show them editing the pickles. They can go in there and they can turn it into anything they want. I think 2 classes today changed this to pancakes. We have pancakes with butter and syrup, and it was a lot of fun. That is an activity that is very simple to run. It is easy to learn, easy to debug, and it's really kind of hard to mess up this activity. So the kids always kind of get something. The biggest issues we were having were zooming in too far, getting out of clever, things that had nothing to do with the tutorial itself. So if you do want to run this activity in your class, I am going to show you down here. This is the access to the educator materials for Lyla and Inside Out 2. And when you click on this, it will take you to PDFs of the teacher materials. And the teacher materials will talk a little bit about getting everything started, how kids can play it. And then there is, if you scroll down in that a little bit, there's also information about if you want to save everybody's game in order to be able to send them to parents. It talks about if you have a shared drive, if you have your computers hooked up to a shared drive, you can save them to that. Or you can get the URLs and paste them all in a shared document. There's just some different ways about that. And it also talks about playing. If you're using computers with keyboards, you can play 2 students to 1 keyboard. So you can actually have a multiplayer game, which is a lot of fun. If you want to go in and help them play multiplayer online, it kind of tells you a little bit about doing that. But we've been saving that for parents. That is Lyla in the Loop. In 1st grade, depending on the class, it does start to go much quicker. And by 2nd and 3rd grade, it only takes about 15 minutes without art and music. It's really, really fast as students get older. It is fun, particularly if people aren't big readers. So that is the junior activity. So now we can move on to Inside Out 2. This is the next tutorial. This is called Bubble Popping with Joy. This was made when the Inside Out 2 movie came out. And generally, we're only allowed to have these skins on our activities for just a few months while things are in theaters. But Disney and Pixar have generously let us use these all the way through Hour of Code. If you do decide to come back to this activity sometime after January, you might find that the Inside Out aspect is gone, but we will continue having the bubble popping game available. You just won't add the sprite to it. When you click on it, you'll get this screen here. It shows kind of the characters of Inside Out. Most kids will click OK and just leave, which is fine. You'll see the instructions over there on the left, the same way they were with the junior activity. But the toolbox is going to be different. That toolbox in the middle between the instructions and the workspace is now closed, meaning it's got categories and you have to open the specific categories in order to see the blocks that you need. If for some reason your students are having trouble kind of pattern matching between the words that they need and the actual blocks in the category, they can click on that, and clicking on the words will open up the actual category that they need so that they can more easily find the block that they're looking for. And unlike with the other activity where the order didn't really matter, in this one, the order does matter. So they'll kind of want to learn about sequence. You create the board, and then after you create the board, you load a bubble. And they'll see that unlike with the Lyla activity, where all the programming to get things moving and stuff kind of happens behind the scenes, on this one, you have to make it move. Even after you have the bubble loaded, you still have to have the ability to use the controller and have the controller go left and have the controller go right. It's definitely more exciting. And the kids really do feel like they're building their own video game, which they are. For this activity, it's fairly simple. It tells you what to do each step of the way. You can drag out the blocks. You also have a game fairly quick. There's only, I think, 9 or 10 steps that you need to really follow in order to build this game. You'll see you put your sprite out there, and then after you put your sprite out there, you need to move where the sprite ends up, and it kind of leads them step by step. Oh, I did this, but now I need to be able to do that. I did this, but now I can't do that. So I need to fix it. And then they'll have a game. It's very, very straightforward, I'll say. It's nice and simple to teach, and the kids can go in, they can change their character. They could choose another character from inside out, or they could do a different character altogether. There's also the ability in this one to add music to get a little more clever. And it does have some suggestions too of other things that you can do. For this one, as an educator, I recommend that you go through first and build it before you bring it to your classroom. You can either watch the video of us building it. We do have listed in the teacher materials, we have a teacher video that shows us going through step by step and building it and kind of what you're supposed to do, how it's supposed to look when it's all done. So that way you kind of have a troubleshooting guide and you have your answer key, I guess, if you will. All the material you need to run this in your classroom, how to do the activity, and then more information again on sharing. This one doesn't have a multiplayer option, so we don't talk about playing this online multiplayer. It does have a little message about sharing your game. And I don't remember if we talk about sharing. Oh, yep, sharing on kiosk. So we can talk about kiosk just a little bit here in a minute, but all of that is in the educator guide. And then at the end of both educator guides, there's a completion certificate if you want to print out little awards for the kids doing Hour of Code activities, and you can print their names on them for them, or you can have them print their names, put it in their Tuesday folder or Friday folder or Wednesday folder, or whichever day of the week you do folders home to parents. It's something that makes kids excited and feel accomplished, I guess, until you get to about middle school. Although we have heard even from high schoolers that they think it's pretty cool to get a certificate, which surprised me. But I guess anytime somebody gets recognition, it feels pretty special. So that's that one. Also in this educator guide, you will see the link to the teacher video. I think it's at the very beginning of the educator guide. There's a video of me playing through. If you go to our YouTube channel, you'll be able to watch that and kind of my tips and tricks as I play through. That one is all ready for CSEd week if anybody wants to just pick it up and run with it. All right. Now we'll go back and talk about the final option in our list. And this one is more of an intermediate option. So if you click on this one, you'll see that, well, first it has an intermediate page here, which the other ones don't, but they can click on the make their own game button. And that will take them into this one. And you'll see right away that it just looks more intermediate. If they've been coding for a while, if they're a little bit older, if they're used to this kind of thing already with instructions on the left and all of the different colors for the different blocks, then they should be ready for this. If they haven't coded before, especially if they've never coded at all, but if they've never coded in Make Code, then they might not want to start with this one necessarily. But if they have done some coding before and they're kind of tired of starting from the beginning with every single activity, then this is a good one. It covers functions a little bit, shows you, instead of where we have the special blocks where all of this extra code is hidden, they have the extra blocks where everything's already built and the students can see what is happening behind the scenes to make everything do what it needs to do. A lot more explanation in the left side of what's going on and why you're doing what you're doing. And then in the end, you make a pretty cool space game and you get a little bit of backstory about having a mission to, it was originally the Hubble telescope, but I think they are taking out some of the branding on that one too. But you're still making a really cool space game. And you got to see the game that you're making in that first instruction. It showed you an image of what that game will ultimately end up looking like. And that's our 3 activities. And it spans pretty much the entire gamut from pre-K all the way up to high school. Everything from people who've never coded a day before to people who've been coding for a while. And it's got the teacher materials to help you get started. We have a page of educator materials for all of our activities. And that's at arcade.makecode.com/educators with an S. This page has the quick links, which we'll be looking at here in a second. It has links to courses in case you wanted to do courses with your students, the educator YouTube channel, fun additions, which includes our kiosks, our wood kiosk, or the little cardboard kiosk that you can make in your classroom. It has a link to blogs, my blog, which is Kiki's Corner, which covers basically all things arcade. And then Richard's blog, which is a little more technical about how arcade works and some of the inner workings and things going on. And then finally, the page to educator trainings, which has the trainings like the webinar that you are watching today. It has not only future webinars that you can sign up for, like the one I mentioned coming up in February, but it also has recordings of past that you can watch one if you missed it. You can watch it there. So to that quick links area, you'll see a table that pops up. And because of the weirdness of the way our markdown shows up, you're only seeing about 2/3 of the table. But if you scroll over, you'll see the teacher resources and at very least an answer key. But then if there's teacher materials, you'll find the links for each of the teacher resources for each of the activities that we offer, either our skill maps or our most popular tutorials. So you'll see the Lyla one there. And if you decide that you want to try any of our other tutorials or skill maps, you can get the teacher resources for those over here as well. And that way it doesn't necessarily have to be a specific CSEd week or hour of code activity to run it in your classroom. There's lots of different things that you can do in your class, depending on how many things you've already done before. And they're all kind of listed in order of difficulty or in which order you want to be able to run things in your class. If anybody else runs activities in their classroom and they have created intermediate activities or advanced options, feel free to let us know, and we'd be happy to share those with others. Speaking of that, we are working to put together a tutorial. So if there's any teachers who want to learn how to make their own make code tutorials, it is definitely possible. It is free. It's open source, so you don't even need to ask our permission to put stuff together to use in your classroom. It does take a little bit of time, and it is not a simple thing right now. You do have to kind of build it in Markdown and put it together, but it's possible. And I would say playing around with it here and there over a week, you should be able to put together a really fun tutorial for your class. Generally, these go pretty well, even on machines that don't have a lot of power, and usually even on machines where the internet is not doing great. And something I find myself repeating over and over is it's your game. That's the benefit of being able to code, is you can make it do what you want to do. You don't have to follow all the instructions perfectly. You don't have to do exactly what we say. You don't have to use the sprite that we provide. You can do your own. And that's the power of being able to code on your own. People are really liking that. We also have image packs. Image packs are kind of new. It's the ability to create your own art and then share it just like you would share any other project. And that person who receives it can import that shared project in as an extension and use it as their own art. So here's what I'm going to have Sarah do. Sarah's going to go up to share this game that she's far. And this game, our normal projects don't have the inside out 2 characters in them. They don't have the ball tiles. Sarah's going to share this game and get that URL. And then she'll go into blank project in Arcade. This is fun. It's teamwork. Sarah's got to follow instructions. When she can't see my face, I'm just a disembodied voice. Okay. And then Sarah's going to click the extensions button there down. Yeah. And then paste the URL for that shared project right there and click enter and select the tile for it. And then you'll see that when Sarah goes in to add a new sprite to this game, oh, the whole game came in. All of those images will be there in the gallery. In the gallery. There. All the sprites, everything from that other game will be in there because she shared them. And that's how you can share images. Normally, when you do an image pack, you don't have the code for anything in it. You just have the images. And then that way, you can have students over the course of a term build all these images that they like to use, and then they can add them to multiple projects. Or multiple kids can build images for the same project and have 5 or 6 artists contribute to a project for a game by importing it as an extension. And then the other 2 new things, we only have a little bit of, I'm just going to mention them and then let you know that the link to them is in the slide deck. The first one is kiosk. And it's not so new anymore. It's just unadvertised. So a lot of people don't know about it. And yeah, if you just keep going through the slide deck, you'll see it. There we go. Just kind of keep blasting through here. There you go. There's a video on our YouTube channel about kiosk. And essentially, it is just a portfolio where all of your students can submit the games they've been working on, and they all show up under one screen that you can scroll through to see everybody's game and give them all access. And adding it to the kiosk is just as easy as sharing it in any other way. You just add it right in the share screen. So that's a lot of fun. Another new thing is that kids can now play their games on Xbox. We do have an app for the Xbox that lets kids play their arcade games directly on their Xboxes at home, or if you have one in the classroom. And then finally, online multiplayer. And I think if you go a few more slides, Sarah, there might be a slide for online multiplayer in here. Yep, there we go, for multiplayer. This has a couple of multiplayer games that you can look at, but also Lyla in the Loop is multiplayer. And all of the information about using online multiplayer is in that link there, the arcade.makecode.com/multiplayer. It will tell you about how our multiplayer was crafted to be as safe a space as possible, that there's no way to chat with other people, that there's no way to give away what your identity is, no way that somebody can come in and create havoc on you when you're playing your game online. All of that detail is in this document, and how to play is in this document, and how to play is also in the Lyla document. And in the Lyla activity on step 7, there's also a video about sharing your game and using online multiplayer for parents if parents want to help out. That's a lot. So I guess we have a lot of things we consider new things, and whether they're actually new or whether we just don't advertise them well, who's to say? Lastly, I just want to say thank you. Definitely follow us on social at MS Make Code everywhere. Use our forum.makecode.com. We have an educator lounge. You can ask us questions about running this in the classroom, or you could come into any of our other stations and ask questions about programs that might have bugs in them or how to do something. And we have engineers and myself and managers who check the forum pretty much all weekdays. Yeah. And that's it. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Sarah, for coming in and pitch hitting for me. I really love it. And hopefully we'll see you all at our next webinar. Happy CS Education Week. Definitely contact us and let us know if we can help you out. Take care. Have a great rest of your evening.